Hey guys, so here is what you missed today while you were out. The first thing we did was a subject object pronoun quiz. This is in Google Classroom. Take it as soon as you possibly can. Click on pronoun quiz, click on the Google form and complete it. You can use your pronoun study guide in your interactive notebook. So you can use this for help. If you have it correctly linked, you can pull this up and use this study guide for help while you take the quiz. And you can do that whenever you have time. It is a daily grade. So that was the first thing we did today. Then we did this review elements of poetry quizzes, and that is here in right here, figurative language quizzes. Do that. You can do it as many times as you want to. That was the second thing we did today in class. Then we linked the sound devices in figurative language and the elements of poetry study guides to our interactive notebooks. So you need to get both of those things linked in your interactive notebook. Then we talked about the different types of poetry. There's lots of different types of poetry in sixth grade. We focus on the difference between a lyric poem and a narrative poem. Here is what happens in a lyric poem, and these are the two different types of lyric poems that we learn about in sixth grade. Lyric poems are what you think of when you think of everyday poems, rhyming words, musical rhythm, expressing thoughts and feelings of a speaker. A sonnet is like Romeo and Juliet, where you have characters speaking to each other in a play, but it sounds like a song when they're talking to each other. An ode is something that's written about a poem that's written about someone who has died, but usually it has some humor to it. It's written to memorialize someone who has passed away. Then you have narratives. Narrative poems tell a story. They have setting, characters, rising action, climax, falling action, conflict, resolution. They can also contain rhyme and rhythm, just like a lyric poem. The two types of narrative poems that we learn about in sixth grade are epics and ballads. Epics are the main character goes on some type of journey, and a ballad is just a song that tells a story. So hopefully you've been paying attention as I've been talking about the Highwayman to learn that the Highwayman is a narrative poem. So it is a story. It is going to tell us a story. It's going to contain all of the elements of plot, just like any other story that we read. Today we read the very beginning, so we were focused on the exposition, learning the setting of the poem, the main characters, and that was about as far as we got today. Here are your I and B notes that you were supposed to link. Poetry notes, sound devices and figurative language. And as you read a poem, you want to do these things. We've already numbered the lines and stanzas last week in the rhyme scheme. We're going to be working on summarizing the stanzas, putting them in our own words this week. We're going to be looking for figurative language, symbolism, imagery. We're going to talk about the theme of the poem when we're done. We're going to be looking for our favorite line, because one of the questions on the test that we'll take over the Highwayman next week is going to be, what is your favorite line of the poem and why is it your favorite? We're going to be looking for words that we don't know and putting the meanings of them in our own words. And we're also going to be looking for those narrative plot elements as we read. So this is what we did today. We already had the repetition label and the three metaphors written down. We labeled that torrent means a lot, gusty means windy, galleon is a ship, a moor is a field. That was in stanza 1. Stanza 1 is introducing us to the setting of the poem, which is windy, scary, and dark. Then we read stanza 2. And in stanza 2, we are learning about our main character and what he looks like, his external qualities, the Highwayman. And cop, he said, was sideways. Claret is dark red. Breeches is pants. Doe skin is deer skin. And a rapier hilt is his sword and sheath. Then we described him in our own words. He's wearing a French hat, a lacy collar, dark red velvet coat, deerskin pants, and he's carrying a pistol and a sword. I told the class that a highwayman during this time was someone you did not want to run into. Highwaymen came into your house in the middle of the night and stole your belongings. So they were basically a burglar or a robber. And the highwayman is our main character. He is the protagonist of this poem. He is our good guy, our hero. But highwaymen in general were not very good characters. So that's a little different, that our protagonist is kind of a bad guy rather than a good guy. So we'll pick up with stanza 3 tomorrow and learn about some other characters. That's as far as we got today. So I'm going to stop here with my video and the presentation. Everything you need should be in Google Classroom. Please reach out if you need me.